Alrighty, good morning from the National Weather Service here in Raleigh, North Carolina. My name's James Marr. I'm a meteorologist here, and I'll be doing your weekly impact weather briefing covering the central North Carolina area from April 8th through the 14th time frame of 2019. If you're tuning in a little bit after Monday, April 8th, I highly recommend that you visit weather.gov/Raleigh for the latest weather information, as this forecast is going to be highly dynamic. Things are going to change within really the next few hours. So if you're tuning in anytime after really 2, 3 o'clock on Monday, I highly recommend you go to weather.gov/Raleigh for the latest weather information, or you can visit our website or social media accounts for the latest here. All right, looking forward, going a little bit forward. So we do have an active beginning of the stretch here, as a low pressure is going to be spinning just to our south and slowly migrating east early this week. That's going to spur on some scattered showers and storms today, a few of which can be strong to severe, and we'll talk a lot more in depth on that here in a shortly. But also another round of some showers and storms, especially along Raleigh south, but chances are everybody may see another round of convection at some point tomorrow as we go through the day. Things should dry out middle of the week. By Wednesday and Thursday, we should start to see high pressure build in, even some cooler temperatures come Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon, ahead of the next storm system, which should introduce some showers and storms again late in the work week, mainly on Friday evening into early Saturday morning. And we'll be watching another area of low pressure from the south start to approach late in the weekend, which could get our third chance of some showers and thunderstorms as we progress this weekend into early next week. So here's a look at our current SPC Storm Prediction Center thunderstorm potential outlooks. Right now we are currently in a slight risk of severe thunderstorms for today, Monday, April 8th. We have a marginal risk introduced mainly south and east of Raleigh. Tomorrow, Tuesday, April 9th, we could see another round of convective storms, especially hugging the coast here as that low decides to move just to our south. It wouldn't surprise me to see this nudged a little bit further north at some point in the next little while, but that's highly dependent on exactly what the storms do today and what the air mass looks like tomorrow. Right now, Wednesday is looking dry. It looks like we'll get most of the showers and storms well to our south and east by early morning Wednesday, and we should have at least a 24 to 48 hour dry period there ahead of the next storm system, likely to impact us and spread some showers and storms later in the day, Friday into early Saturday morning. So here's a quick look at the current severe risk area. We're expecting scattered and numerous thunderstorms to develop and overspread central North Carolina this afternoon and continuing into the overnight hours. Some of the areas, especially east, could see thunderstorms as late as midnight to 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. I think the severe chances go down significantly with time, but it would not surprise me at all to see some strong storms even well after midnight tonight, especially if you're in that Fayetteville to Rocky Mount areas and points eastward in North Carolina. Timing is mostly between 3 o'clock this evening through midnight, with the severe threat probably becoming a little bit closer to that 6 to 7 o'clock time frame, lasting until around midnight tonight, with a few lingering showers and storms continuing on. All of North Carolina, or at least central North Carolina, falls under this threat, with slightly less potential as you head into the coastal plain. We've seen this slight risk area of severe thunderstorms actually expand pretty well north and west today, and we're expecting that to remain. If not, even looking at possibly upgrading our risk, depending on how things play out. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the cloud cover. But as I look out, I actually see some blue sky peeking out right here outside of the Weather Service office in Raleigh. So that is always the sign you're looking for some increasing instability, which could play into the fact that we could see some severe storms a little later. The primary threats, and I'll go back here briefly, will be damaging wind gusts, some hail, especially that 1 inch or greater amounts. Could see a few of the storms have that, especially early on in the afternoon. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. We don't think this is going to be a huge tornado producer, but some of the stronger storms could produce a brief and weak tornado. So we'll be closely looking at that for the possible need of updating any severe thunderstorm warnings to tornado warnings if that is needed. and some localized flooding, especially in areas that see multiple rounds of storms. And we could see as much as 3 different rounds of storms in the next 24 to 36 hours. So we'll be closely looking at some of the areas that are still pretty wet from a pretty active winter, a fall, winter, and even early spring period when it comes to rainfall. So here's a look at the excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. Basically, what this is showing you is these areas here in the central and western portion of the state has a marginal risk that's about 5 to 10% chance of exceeding flash flood guidance. So if those stronger storms that are producing over 1 inch per hour rates impact an area for a prolonged period of time, we could easily see some ponding of water on roadways or even some localized flash flooding. So we'll be paying close attention to that as we go throughout the day. So here's a look at the current visible satellite. You'll see that we had a pretty dense area of stratus clouds over us today. We were wondering how long it would take to have that burn off, and seeing as it's 11:36, we're seeing some pretty good decay in that cloud shield now, and looking out the window I can kind of verify what we're seeing here. So we should see this continue, with most areas seeing predominantly sun after lunchtime, and that is just going to help fuel the atmosphere with instability, which is a primary ingredient for needing some of these stronger storms to develop. Here's also one model. This is the high resolution rapid refresh model, one of the short-term models, reflectivity look at what may occur today. And I know it's going pretty fast, but it looks like the majority of the showers and storms that do pop up, other than maybe some scattered showers ahead of this main band, don't move in until about that 6 o'clock time frame across the triad. Impact portions of the triangle more around that 8 o'clock time frame, with points east looking more in that 10 to even midnight time frame if you're listening in from the Fayetteville to Rocky Mount area. So certainly have a watchful eye on the weather forecast and be ready to react to any watches and warnings that are issued throughout the day today, because it should be an active setup, and we'll be having some extra staff come in and get everybody prepared. So here's a look at some of the probabilities from the Storm Prediction Center. We have a slight risk over the entire area. They have a 2% probability of tornadoes. That's the lowest, second lowest, I guess they go, other than 0%, or near 0%. But still, 2% is something to be concerned about, especially when in scenarios like this. Today's severe hail risk is around a 15% probability. I think your best chance of seeing hail is a little bit earlier on in the event, before the event and the main risk transitions to mostly wind, which is also 15% probability. But with this line of storms becoming more linear in nature, I think more and more you're going to look into the severe straight line wind risk as the primary mode and primary threat that we'll see later on today and tomorrow. So here's just a quick overview of the expected precipitation as we go through the week. We can see anywhere from isolated 1.5 to 2 inches of rain today with some of the stronger storms. And I think mainly that's going to be in your southern sandhills and southwestern Piedmont of North Carolina, where you'll see some of those storms with lesser amounts as you head east. Some lingering precip on Tuesday with some maybe up to 1/4 to 1/2 inch in localized spots that see some thunderstorms, especially south and east of Raleigh. A dry day Wednesday, mostly dry Thursday, but then you do have some storms creeping back into the forecast on Friday as a cold front sweeps east through the region. And then you can start seeing some precipitation enter back into the area, mainly on Sunday as another storm system moves its way across the Gulf Coast states and into the southeastern portion of the country. Taking a look at the 7-day total, if all that adds up correctly, we should see anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 inches across the western Piedmont, with much lesser amounts as you head east toward the ocean there. Here's just a quick, a closer look, and mainly the best areas locally that could see some heavy rain today. It's going to be that southern and western Piedmont counties across central North Carolina. Taking a quick look ahead to the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook and precip outlook. This wet pattern looks to continue, especially over the 8 to 14-day time period, and that should continue, and near normal or neutral chances of above and below normal in the way of temperatures. And anytime you see, increased precipitation in this time frame, you tend to have near normal, if not slightly below normal temperatures as we go forward. So quickly wrapping up, and I'll try to get to your questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and fill them into that questions box, and I'll answer as many as I can. Some storms expected today, some of which can be severe, and those could hang around early in the work week. That includes tomorrow, mainly south and east of the Raleigh area. Drier conditions prevail Wednesday and Thursday with active weather in the form of showers and thunderstorms returning Friday. Maybe hanging around for part of the day Saturday, and again arriving Sunday into Monday of next week. We have little to no drought concerns across central North Carolina at this time, and it looks like the next 14 days should help prevent some of that from popping up, at least here in the near-term forecast. And the rivers are behaving, but with the increased amount of rainfall, we'll be closely watching how they may respond, because we are still in a relatively wet pattern here over the last 6 to 9 months. And of course, if you this is a good time as any to talk some severe weather safety information. So if you're looking for some safety information for yourselves, your families, or your fellow employees or constituents, feel free to visit weather.gov/safety. And there's all of our safety materials, including some infographics that you may find useful. And here's a quick look at the 7-day. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording option here, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.